Hello. It's part 2, continuation from day 1. My name again, it is Zinita Masego. I am the Business Development Officer at the Sibande TVET College, Center for Entrepreneurship, Rapid Incubator. So basically our lesson was based on how to start and develop your business idea. We were actually mainly focusing on, if I have a business, how do I make my business a reality? Or if I have an idea, after having an idea, where do I go? You know, where do I get assistance? If I have questions, who do I ask? So yesterday we made an example of a civil engineering company, where I made an example of one of our college graduates that started his own engineering company, and then his company focused on engineering, and then he was working with 3 of the graduates from the college. Basically, the administration in the business was done by a business administrator, a student, and then his marketing was done by a marketing graduate, and then his finances were also done by a graduate. So now the business was running, and then it actually focused on engineering. So by engineering, bear in mind, we said that it was first a civil engineering company, but then now he actually decided to link his business with an engineering graduate who studied electrical. So now it's civil and electrical who came together, they merged and formed one engineering company that specializes in engineering. So now we are going to recap what it is that we have done for part 1. Yesterday we focused on the growth wheel, where we looked at the business in the 360. Now this is the whole framework of growth wheel, but then I decided yesterday to break it down and make sure that you guys are on track, where I covered the business concept, because now before you have a business, this is where everything starts, under the business concept. So within business concept, we looked at the 5 areas. The first one being your business idea. Now here we actually discussed what it is that you have to look at when you're still developing a concept or a business idea. Now, under business idea, we looked at the idea generation for you to start a business. What is your business going to do? The why. Why are you starting the business? You know, now that you're starting the business, what is this business going to do? That is what we speak about under the business idea. And then we moved on to the second one, which was your product portfolio. Now that you want to have a a civil engineering business, what are the products or the services that you'll be offering? What are the gaps that you are going to be closing that already exist in the market? So that would be under your product portfolio. And then the third one was your revenue model. Initially, under revenue model, we look at now, how are you going to be generating funds? Now, how is the business going to be making an income? For instance, this is where we also spoke about the different revenue sources that you can have. Instead of having just that one product that are you going to be selling. Now, for instance, a customer comes in and doesn't buy that product, what products can you also introduce into the market to make sure that at least there's cash flow within the business? So do not have just one revenue stream. How do we multiple our revenue streams? Now that we are done with your revenue model, now we're going to look at your customer portfolio. Under customer portfolio, that's where we focus on who are you selling your products to? Who are your customers? You know, in school, they would say, who's your target market? That's where target market comes in, your customer portfolio. And then after customer portfolio, we looked at your market position. That is the number 5 focus area. The 5th one, market position. We know who you are. We know what you're going to be selling. We know at what price. But then we also know who you're selling it to. But then where are you? Where do these customers find you? The customer portfolio, where do they access you? Are you accessible? Or maybe your business is in Joburg, but you find that your customer portfolio, or your customer segment rather, is in Mpumalanga. But then how do I access you? We also made an example of the online platforms that are there, that some businesses can actually function very well online. But then there are some of those that really need to be closer to their market. But then now this is where you have to strategically position yourself to be accessible to your customer portfolio. Now, this is the first important part that we looked at yesterday. And then we moved on to your business concept. Now here, we're looking at the business as a whole instead of just the business concept. And then as we moved on here, we looked at your organization. Remember, as I told you yesterday, these ones under the maroon part, those factors or those areas exist within the business. They are internal. Yeah? And then here we also looked at your ownership and board. Now that you have your business, who's going to own this business? Now, this is where we actually gave a guide on how to select partners or people to partner with. What do you look at? You don't just choose your cousin because you grew up together, you were friends, you're loyal. Here, it's not about the loyalty, but it's also just about sharing the same vision. It must be someone that in your absence, can actually carry on as if you are there. It must be someone that you share the same business values with. So that is your ownership and board. How do you select the people that you're going to run the business with? And then after that, we looked at your employees, that now that your business exists, what positions are vacant or what positions need to be filled now that I'm starting my engineering business? Now, what kind of people do I need to hire? You need an administrator. We know it's more technical. You're going to need maybe the people that are going to be on the ground. What will they be doing? What skills must they have? How much am I going to pay them? What are their duties? What requirements should they have for this position? That is where we look at all of those and just basically to ensure that whoever comes into the business knows their role and then knows what is expected of them and vice versa for the company as well. And then after that, we looked at your partnerships. Who are you going to partner with? The business already exists. The business is doing well. It's working. But then now, who are you going to partner with? Who are the people that you're going to go to and ask for assistance or maybe, just get guidance from? So for instance, the Center for Entrepreneurship, the Rapid Incubator, has partnered with its clients. They come to us for mentorship, for coaching, maybe for any other assistance that they would need. They always know that there's a place or there's a person that we can go to. So basically, there's a mutual agreement and there's a partnership. We gain from assisting them. They gain from the assistance they get from us. So, they would say, niga, win-win. What do I get from you and what do you get from me? That's how you actually develop partnerships. So within a business, for instance, a construction business where you also do your civil and your electrical, services, you'd actually need to develop partnerships with maybe suppliers. Because in that space, at times, you'd need supplies in messes. For you'd be maybe doing road construction. You'd need maybe, you get maybe a project and the project is of a value of 5 million and you just started off. You wonder, where do I go for assistance, You get a purchase order. I don't know if you guys know what is a PO. A PO, it is called a purchase order. When you do business with government, when you have secured that particular maybe project, they give you a document called a purchase order. Now, some of our clients will come through to the center with their purchase order that I have got this job that I need to do, but for instance, I do not have funds. Now, that is where we can assist them because the purchase order actually guarantees that you got the job, now you can continue and supply. So with the purchase order, they would come to then that document, because it's already a guarantee, we would actually assist them to source funds with that. So a purchase order serves as a guarantee, and then we would use the purchase order to maybe approach suppliers. Maybe if already you have one supplier that you've been getting all your raw material from, when you come with the purchase order, and we also maybe assist you guys to develop agreements. With that purchase order, you can simply go to your supplier and say, you know what, maybe it is a T hardware. We've been working together for some time. You've been supplying me. And then now I got a job for a value of 5 million. I need raw material for maybe a value of 2 million. Can you kindly supply me? When I get paid, that is when I will pay you back. But because there's already a partnership in place, it's much easier for that business to actually assist you because they already know you. Remember, you've been using them as your supplier. It's just that now you're coming through for a bigger amount. Now, you may be asking yourself that how does that person benefit from me? Now, Let's answer that. How do they benefit? Remember, with hardware stores, you'd find they've got all this material sitting there. Some of it, I know, for example, with your PC sand, the sand is outside, it's summer, it's rainy season. Instead of it now being wasted by the rain, or maybe now they have to do extra work to make sure that they limit the losses. So instead of them having losses internally, they'd rather give that material to you, knowing very well that at the end of the day, they are going to get money back and they would have assisted you. So both of them, it's a win-win. The store meets its targets, its daily sales target, you get your raw material, you finish your job, you pay them back. Now, that would be under maybe the benefits of partnership. And then we're going to move on to your business processes. That is actually the fourth area under organization. Under business processes, it's quite simple. Now that we are all employees within your civil company, we need to know that when I come in as an administrator, what is it that I need to do? What processes do I follow as an administrator? Basically, that would be part of the duties in the company. What is my role? Who do I report to? When a customer comes in, how do I address a customer? How do I complete certain documents? So this is just you developing systems to ensure that every employee knows what they have to do. We move on to your legal issues. Legal issues will be the first area under organization. This is where we look at now. For instance, if this business was just an idea, it wasn't registered, then under legal issues, we look at your regulations within the sector that you are in. Remember, we've got different sectors in business. There are sectors within the construction industry, there are sectors in the hospitality industry, there are sectors maybe into the transport industry. So basically, there are different sectors and industries that are there, and most of them are regulated. Well, some of them are regulated. It depends which sector you want to go into. So under legal issues, we have to pay attention and take into note all of the regulation or the laws that govern that particular sector that you are in. So for instance, under legal issues, you come through, your business is not registered. And then we all know that for a business to be registered, it is registered under the CIPC, the Companies Intellectual Property Commission. That is the CIPC. That is where we register all businesses, whether it's a closed corporation, whether it's a private company or a non-profit company. They are all registered under CIPC. So that is currently the body that regulates the business industry. So then once your business is registered there, you go and you comply with your SARS, you get your tax clearance, then you go and you comply with maybe when you are in the construction industry, or if I can, construction industry, you'd have to have your NHBRC certificate. That is another industry on its own. We go for your CIDB that you get registered for. For instance, if you are in the general building, you're civil, you are going to register for that particular grade. If you are in the electrical space, you're going to register for that grade as well. So those ones are the institutions that are there in the sector that you'd want to be in. So remember, here we are focusing on the engineering space. Nah? So with engineering, once you register your business, you get your certificate with CIPC. After that, you go and you get your tax clearance. After your tax clearance, yes, there's your BE certificate, there's your share certificate. So basically, business compliance, it's quite lengthy. It's a lesson on its own where we cover all of the documents you need to have for your business to be fully compliant. So with this one in particular, we are focusing on, which is engineering. That is where I indicated that you need your NHBRC. That's if you're going to maybe specialize in building, and then that's your NHBRC, yes, and then you need your CIDB. And then, yes, there's other maybe documents that you need to have, like your letter of good standing, your COIDA. It's quite, that's a lesson on its own. So under legal issues, basically, we look at all the legal matters that you need to take into consideration for that particular sector that you are in. Now that we are done with the organization, we are going to move on to operations. Also, this one is still internal, still within the business. No, under operations, we are going to look at your facilities. Now, bear in mind, we are busy with a civil engineering company. Now, under facilities mainly, it's quite simple. What is it that you have now? For instance, you've got your equipment, you've got some TLBs, you've got your shovels, you've got your concrete mixers. You know what you guys do most when you are in that space. Now we're going to list all of that. What is it that the company has now? So that would also include maybe your structure. You already have maybe premises to work in. So here it's where you actually make a list of what the company has. It could be inventory, it could be your assets. You just list all of that. And then in this case, when we screen the business, we just want to make sure that should it be that you want to go and source funding, this is where we get to see that what does the business have. And if you say you need 300,000 for funding, at least when we go under facilities, it explains that this is what I have, but then this is what I need. So under facilities, it's just you keeping track, having an asset register that keeps track of everything that the company currently owns. And then later we move on to IT systems. Now, IT systems, some companies, for instance, it wouldn't be relevant to have it when you're still starting, but it's also good that you take note of the systems that you need to have as the business grows. So for instance, now there are certain jobs that are now done by intelligence, by computers, you know. Then in that case, you'd know that instead of having a person that's going to be counting stock, you have a system that actually takes control of how much stock we have and then how much stock we have sold. So in this regard, you just have to make sure that you are aware of all the IT systems that are within the space that you want to be in. And then some of them, yes, you can do without, but then some of them, maybe you need them to be fully functional. Just take note of all the IT systems that you need to have. And then now we move on to the next one, which is the third one under operations, which is your production and deliveries. Under production and deliveries, basically we look at what happens behind the scenes, before the product or the service gets to the customer. What do we need to do? Like in this case, it's everyone, all of the employees within the business. This is where they'll be taking note of what it is that they need to do to ensure that there are no damages, there is no loss, and by all means, we try to minimize loss and ensure that all of the inventory is managed properly. So that is all done under production and deliveries. Now that we are done with production and deliveries, we now move on to funding. Mainly a lot of businesses, or maybe a lot of people that would like to venture into business, they always have a concern that I do not have capital. Where do I get funds? You know, a lot of concerns, and they always arise with relations to funding. So this one, initially, do not stress so much about funding. Yes, you need funds to start a business. Yes, you will have to go and apply, knock on doors, asking for capital and so on. But initially, you know, when you have a solid business idea, if your business idea is solid, it is actually much easier to source funding. Because when you have a business idea, you are quite direct as to this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it, this is the people that I'm going to do it for, and this is how I'm going to make money out of it. Any funding institution, that's what they want to hear. And then also you go further to explain, this is how many people I'm going to employ. The people are going to be doing this and that. So basically here, it's you pitching. You know, it's much easier to pitch your business idea when you know directly and exactly what it is that it's going to be doing. So then under funding, our department, we actually provide non-financial services, so we do not fund, but we work very closely with funding institutions. So we are quite aware of what it is that require from you when you want funds. So in this instance, here I'm running a civil company. Now I want to expand, you know, under facilities, maybe you listed that, you know, most of the equipment I would actually be renting out and it costs me more. So now instead I want funding to just make sure that I've got my own equipment. So now when you're going to ask for funding, we have assisted you with all of the paperwork, made sure that you meet your requirements. And then now you would need, for instance, let's say you need 300,000 for funding, and you've actually highlighted under your facilities what it is that you need the funds for. So now we're going to assist you to just develop the whole, to meet the whole requirements. For instance, if you're going to be seeking funding from NYDA, we've worked closely with them. From NYDA, they're quite direct. They just want to know that what difference is your business going to bring. How much impact is it going to employ? How much money do you know your sales focus? How much money do you think you'll be generating? So basically, when you go there, you're going to pitch your business idea. You are going to convince me, since I have the money, that I'm not going to be wasting my money on you, and that you're going to use my money well, and it's going to make an impact. That's all that it is actually about. So in terms of funding, this one, you just need to give a detailed breakdown that this is how much that I need and what do I need it for. And in that regard, then it's much easier when we approach the funding institutions. We already know that, you know what, NYDA doesn't fund above 300,000. In that case, now we are taking it to CIFA. Or maybe you need like maybe 70 million. Okay, now CIFA cannot assist, we go to IDC. So basically in terms of funding, you must know what it is that you need, what different or impact it's going to make in the business. Basically, they would just mean you must prioritize. And then, you know, what role, like, is the business going to be able to even pay that money back if it's in terms of a loan? So in terms of funding, I want you guys to be very strict on yourself on that one. Do not just say you need 100,000. Know what you need, how much it costs. Go and do a quotation, make a list, go and quote. You know, don't just call numbers, you know, roughly from your head. Make a quotation where you know what, I need 100,000. This is what I need it for, you know. And should I get this 100,000, this is the difference it's going to make in my business. So, you know, when you convince me as a funder, remember, I'm here, I am this millionaire, I've got some money, I'm an angel investor, I want to invest my money, but I'm looking at the right person to invest on. You need to come and convince me that you're the person I can trust. And not you per se, but the business. This business must be able to pay me back with the interest and, yeah, with no hassles as well. So under financials, under funding, please take note. A lot of things come into play. I'm going to stress this one so much because most of you, I know now, you've got businesses that you want to start, but then now the challenge is funding. Funding, we look at a lot of things. This is where we compare the jockey to the horse. The jockey being you and the horse being your business. We're going to compare those two because we also have findings where the business, the jockey can run. There's nothing wrong with this horse. But then the problem is the jockey, the person riding the horse. So at times we find that your business has so much potential, but then maybe you still need to be repolished and redirected to make sure that you can ride this horse properly. You still need to be trained. If I may just put it that way, you still need to be trained to be able to ride this horse. Now, for you to ride this horse properly, we also look into your finances as an individual. Remember, I cannot come and give you 300,000 to start a business if you cannot even show that as an individual you can manage so much funds. So then make sure that you also are disciplined financially. Under this one, I think let me just cross over to financials because it's right on top. That is number 5. When you look at your screen, that is number 5, financials. I'm just going to focus on that one because it directly speaks to your funding. Now that your business is now registered under financials, now we are going to look at the finances of the business. Now that is the bank statement of the business. That is all of the text, the invoices that you'd be sending out. So the purchase orders. So now under finances, when you are going to go and source funding, remember I'm speaking to financials under funding. Financials under funding. I'm still going to come into the financials within the business. Here you are, you want to go source funding. We are going to look at you. How do you spend money? How do you account for all of the transactions that happen within the business? Because you know what, I'll make a typical example. Some of you guys, maybe you're sitting at home, you have had businesses before. And I assure you and guarantee you that some of us make the mistake of killing our own businesses. How so, you may ask? But, you know, for instance, when you are maybe going out for shopping, you've got the business card, the bank account for the business, and you've got your personal. But then there are times where you actually pay for transaction using your business card. And then that business card belongs to the business. It doesn't belong to you. But then now, there are transactions that you cannot explain in your bank statements, in your transactions that happen outside the business, but in the finances of the business. So that alone, it serves as red flags. Now we start flagging the business, okay? This business, sometimes it swaps here and there, maybe it liquor shops, it buys all of those dodgy things that you cannot justify as to what was the business doing with this transaction, we tend to flag those. So you must always take into cognizance what it is that you do with the finances of the business. If you're going to buy lunch, maybe entertain some maybe potential customers, that can have a ledger on its own to say, under entertainment, we do have entertainment of stakeholders, then it can actually fall under there. Any transaction basically must be justifiable as to what it was for. Why did you use it? What were you doing? And then you also keep the receipts. Make sure you do that. And then now, the finances of the business. No, I think there was something I was still explaining, that sometimes we kill our own businesses. Make sure that you don't kill your business before it starts. Discipline yourself very well. Be accountable of every cent, but make sure that a business must pay you. Remember, your business must be able to take care of you as a person who is employed. By that, what I mean, if a person who's employed gets paid on the 15th of every month, your business must also pay you on a certain day of the month. The other days, any amounts of money can flow in the business. Bear in mind, that is not your money. That money belongs to the business. And this business is going to pay you, for instance, on the 25th. Always remember that you don't always have money in the business. You only have money the day your business pays you. As an owner, if you work within your business, it's going to pay you monthly, and then it's going to pay you annually. That's through your dividends when you share your profits. So always try to separate the two. But then when we do in-depth training, that's where we just try to assist you guys there. So under finances, just make sure that under your financials, you can even download a template called management account. Management account is very simple. It's similar to your income statement. It says how much money came into the business, how much you spent on sales. It calculates the gross. And then after, it lists all of your expenses. Under expenses, that's where you list that where did all the money in the business go. So basically in the management account, that's where you're going to be recording the money, that comes into the business, that doesn't go directly to the bank. So you're going to take that money that comes in the business daily and the money that actually reflects in the bank. End of the month, you actually combine the two, and then you record it as your sales. And then it will actually deduct all of the expenses that the business had, and then give you a total of the profit that you would have made. Just that one is just a simple template for you to keep track of all the money that is coming in and out of the business. Now that we are done with the operation, we're going to move on to your customer relation. So basically, customer relation, I will not be breaking that one down because it's pretty much straight to the point. This one, it's about you. How do you take your business out to the people? Who are you marketing this business to? Remember, marketing speaks directly to your customer portfolio, where you said, who are your customers? And then after we look at the sales, what activities are you going to put on place to make sure that you meet your monthly sales? And then now communication and PR. What message are you, your employees, going to be communicating out to your customers or to the public, just to ensure that, your brand image is not hindered with or maybe tainted? And then now we move on to your branding. Now that your business exists, you need to brand it properly, get your own logo, your own corporate colors, and so on, just to make sure that, when we see this logo, when we see this business name, it straightly relates, maybe directs us to your business. So initially, I hope this lesson, you found it very fruitful. For any maybe assistance, going forward, I know that we haven't covered a lot. There's still a lot that you want assistance with. I think we can just drop any questions on the college Facebook page, the Sibande TVET College. We'll be glad and happy to assist you. And I hope you guys will take this into account. It shouldn't be just a lesson, but put the practical in it. And then let's see what we can do. Don't be afraid. If you have an idea, we are here to listen to them. And I'm sure yours won't be the worst. We've heard worse. Believe me, we've heard like very, very crazy and scary business ideas. But do not be afraid to come and just ask for help. We will gladly assist you. And always know that, there's no stupid question. Always just put it out there. Chances are the next person is going to stand to benefit from that stupidity. So all the best. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson. From me, Zinita Masego, goodbye.